Hi there, Steve Kaufman. I haven't done a video. The videos are sort of sporadic now because my iMovie is acting up. So whenever it looks like it wants to work, then I will do a video. Today I want to talk about Korean. We have launched Korean at LingQ, and it's going to be very, very interesting. I have decided to go back to learning Korean. About 4 years or so ago, before I started Russian, I spent about 6 months. I really threw myself at Korean, and I have a confession to make. I am a bit of a language addict. So addicts typically spend a lot of money on their habits, and I have in the past been guilty of spending a lot of money on my habits. Back in the 80s, when I went to learn German, I went around all the bookstores in Vancouver, secondhand bookstores, and was able to buy a lot of inexpensive books to enable me to do a lot of reading and learning of German. With Korean, now that I'm older and I have a little more income, I actually ended up blowing a whole bunch of money. And I'm going to show you all the books that I bought for learning Korean during a 6-month period. Some of which I use, some of which whenever I saw something related to Korean, I bought it so that I would have it. My intention was to study Korean for however many years were necessary, but I got bogged down because the content that was available was so boring. All right, my first exposure to Korean. When I lived in Japan, I visited Korea and I thought, wouldn't it be neat to learn Korean? So I bought a series of books. You can barely make this out, but it says Hyojung Kankokugo. And there's, Bumpo is a whole book in itself, grammar. I haven't gotten very far in that one, I can tell you. Kiso kara kaiwa made, and Nyumon kara jitsuyo made. In other words, here the advantage is that they often show you what the characters are, which helps me, of course, because I know the characters. So I didn't do much with these books. I wasn't very motivated. Again, I have a tendency to buy language books and not do much. I didn't do much, but I kept them, and I went back to them a little bit during the 6-month period. When I was in Beijing, I bought a Chinese book because one of the things that I was interested in was in learning how the characters are used in Korean. Again, it's not a very good book. Lots of stuff as usual, not about Korean festivals, but about the Great Wall of China, the Forbidden City, so that the Chinese were promoting Chinese culture to people learning Korean for some strange reason. I didn't do much with this book. Now, I did find a book that wasn't too bad, produced here in Vancouver at UBC called Continuing Korean. And the best thing about this book was, not the price mind you, it was quite expensive, was the fact that the audio was quite interesting, so that the content was kind of fun to listen to, which is very, very important. Lots of examples. I mean, I shouldn't be too hard. There's lots of grammar explanations, which I have trouble with, but lots of examples, lots of audio to listen to. I listened to the CD that came in the little folder here. I listened to it many, many, many times. This was good. $50? Yeah, probably worth it. I did Asimil, which you probably can't see, but it was terrible. The Asimil for Korean is awful. The Asimil for Russian wasn't bad, but for Korean, it's very boring content. And it doesn't teach you the words, which is the way I like to learn. It has the sort of parallel text and then lots of notes, cultural notes and things like that I just find to be a great distraction. So this was a waste of money. Here is another thing called a colossal series called Integrated Korean out of the University of Hawaii, and it goes beginner 1, beginning 1, beginning 2, etc. Terrible book, very unpleasant to look at, full of unnecessary explanations, here like pronunciation, fricative consonants, and then it, lips, gum ridge, hard palate, soft palate, throat, liquid, nasal, implosive. I have no idea what all this stuff means, but it just goes on forever. There are 6 books in all. Each one costs $20. Yeah, I bought them all. What can you do? I'm a sucker. Lots of books. Didn't amount to much. The most useful book of all was this little book, Colloquial Korean, and the other one that I bought was Teach Yourself Korean. I can't seem to find it around the house anymore. That was kind of useful. I was always, because I know Chinese characters, Korean through Chinese characters I bought. There was a handbook of Korean vocabulary that I bought because, again, it shows you the characters, which helps me learn the Korean. So I don't know, 120 to 300. Oh, I bought a bunch of readers, which were also quite boring. College Korean, Modern Korean, another different college Korean. We had readings in modern Korean literature, which was too difficult for me. Korean reader for Chinese characters, but it only introduced a very few characters. The one thing about this series, Clear series, is you get a lot of paper for very little useful stuff. Lots of exercises, fill in the blanks, I don't know. A colossal expenditure. Anyway, now that we have Korean at Link, we're taking an entirely different approach. We have launched Korean. We have very little content in our library. We are asking our members to help us. James over at Korean As It Is, and I mentioned I gave the link to his blog at my blog. My blog is The Linguist on Language. He has started giving us some Korean content. Again, we look for audio and text. He has helped us translate some of our beginner content and found some people to help record this information so that some strange noise just happened here. So yeah, we're starting to build our Korean library. I am hoping we get more. I'm going to visit with a local, the Vancouver chapter of the the Vancouver subsidiary of Jungang Ilbo to see if we can get some content from there. We're going to have to build it up over time. But my focus now is on reading and listening at Link, because basically what I want is content. Saving words and phrases to my database and reviewing them. And this is where my money is going now. Reviewing them in flashcards on my iPod Touch, reading on the internet. I have an iPad. So that eventually I will be accessing all of the content that I want to study in Korean via my iPad. And I hope to be doing my linking on there. It's not yet as convenient as I would like. We may have to do something there. We've created another application which works on the iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad, whereby you can listen and read as well as review your flashcards on those. And so I kind of think that where we're heading is that this and this, together with a community of people on the web who, if someone has a website that's helping people learn Korean, they can have whatever they want there. They can work with grammar explanations, grammar exercises, charge money, not charge money. We don't care. If they will give us some content for our library, we advertise their website. We get some content for our learners. We would send learners to them if they do things differently than we do, or even if they're in competition with us. It doesn't really matter. We're quite happy to as long as we get some content for our learners. So I think this is going to be very interesting. We're going to build up this community of learners that are going to share learning content. We want content. Other people can do it differently. And I think it's going to be interesting. And my time will be spent listening, reading, and reviewing. And when I feel strong enough, I will speak. And so I'm going to keep track of how many links I create between now and December. And in December, I'm going to speak with a native Korean, because I've basically forgotten everything I learned 4 years ago, except enough to say a few words. So I'm going to run out of time, but that's where we're headed. Thank you.